Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
um, hmm. I mean, so one you asked, but I think two, it also kind of just had to happen because after the after the first season, a bunch of people had reached out to me saying I should also be interviewed, and several people had recommended that maybe you should be the one interviewing me. And so I think, and I had told people that we are thinking about it and we might do it. So I think I was just accountable at this point to have to do it. Yeah.
Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Well, so I mean, I know you. I could hopefully, you're a reasonable friend. I could trust that you wouldn't make me look bad, hopefully. But also, I do enjoy, just talking to people about, now that I've been being a professor for 35 years. I mean, I've had other people, like I said, I've a couple of, younger people who valued the advice that I've given them in the past. And, if through, like I said, part of my wonderful, so it's trying to contribute to my wonderful life impact. If anything I've said here maybe make someone say, yeah, I'm not going to chase that benchmark on that problem. I'm going to really think deeply about this really cool idea I've had and work on that instead. And, Ray said that's probably a better thing to do. So I'll do that. It's like, wow, that's great.
Yeah, I am really hoping that impact happens, and I'm sure it will. Being as honest as you can, why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Yeah, so first response was no. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Then it was kind of like, okay, well, why not? And it's a little bit different. It's not something that I would normally do in the sense of, like I talk publicly, but not about myself, really. I can't think of any public setting in which I've spoken about myself, so it feels weird. But I guess it was more of like, why not? It seems like it's kind of pushing me a little bit, and maybe that's a good thing.
So one sort of side question: do you find that this approach of going why not and trying things, is that something that can be learned, that you've sort of developed over the years, or is that, do you feel it's very much intrinsic?
I don't know if learned is the right answer. I'm also not particularly good at this, so I don't know if I should be the one like giving advice on this. I think for me, it's just kind of, there are fewer answers to why not now of, okay, what's the worst thing that happens? I say something really stupid. What's the impact of that? Like, well, I'm not going to say something extremely stupid. And so, there don't seem to be that many consequences, I guess. And so maybe earlier I was sort of more worried about that kind of thing, or maybe like as a sort of, just like earlier in your career, maybe you're a bit more concerned about that. But I don't know. I think for me, that's the biggest adaptation. Maybe not, I don't know if you call that learning or not, but it's kind of like changing with time.
Changing with time, with experience, sounds a lot like learning.
Yeah, we can debate that. So.
Sure. Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
So I think I listened to every single one of the interview done by Devi earlier with the same topic, and I thought it was really refreshing in a sense that we get to hear about like what kind of research they do a lot, perhaps a bit overly so due to this pandemic and remote talks. And then when I was listening to what kind of questions Devi was asking, and then what kind of answers she was able to bring out of all these people, I thought it was really refreshing. And then I kind of got to know a lot about the people that I thought I knew them before, but apparently I knew only kind of academic or the work side of them. So I thought it was really refreshing. And then I thought, joining this and then trying to show the other side of me as well, thanks to you, will make me perhaps a bit more accessible to the students or the other potential collaborators to just reach out and then talk with me, because they now know more about me than before, right? Other than the papers that I wrote. So that was a reason. And also, of course, in fact, more important reason is that because it was you who emailed me. That was true. Yes.
Sure. Sure. Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Why did I do this interview with you? Yeah, it's kind of fun. I saw like other people that did this interview and say, okay, let me try that, see how it goes. Yeah.
Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
I just really wanted to participate, and I thought it would be super fun to hear your questions, Drew.
Thank you for being supportive.
Yes.
50% of the questions that you heard today were Devi's questions from season 1. 50% were new that I came up
Nice.
with.
Nice.
So I'll
It was
pass along some of the compliments to her as well.
It was good. Yeah, it's a nice mix of very easy and harder questions.
Yeah, I was hoping so. You don't see it at your end, but we at least sat down and tried to cluster questions so that we can probe and come at certain aspects like mental models and frameworks from different points of view.
Right.
So why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Oh, that's interesting. I love, seeing the personalities of the people we work with, and in-person conferences or a time when you meet people, but you don't get, you get much more detail from here of what the people are like. And so that was that. Yeah, and I guess I also, I was sort of interested to see what my answers would be. I'll play this back and think, oh, really? Do I think that?
That's an interesting one. You're almost doing this for your future self, that you can look back and.
Yep, let's see. I'll probably be terribly embarrassed, as I mentioned earlier, saying stupid stuff. So
yeah. Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Why I agreed?
Mm-hmm.
Because I like you.
Thank you. That's quite generous of you, and that's quite nice of you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, like it coming from you is very, like, who it comes from is definitely like a big part of it.
Yeah. Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Hey, why did you ask me to do the interview with you?
I asked you because I thought you'd have, you have interesting thoughts. I wanted to hear I was curious about hearing your perspective on some of these things. And frankly, I had remembered the 1.5 and 2x thing. That was your intro even at FAIR. So I knew that there's a bunch of like surprising, quirky, interesting things about you that might be fun.
Okay. I decided to do the interview because when I saw your interview, my reaction was, man, I thought I knew the guy. But I saw it and I was like, wait, he was in the rock band. So, I thought it would be fun to do the interview because, it would be great to tell you more about myself. And maybe you got surprised about what a person I am as well.
Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Why did I agree to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's a great thing you guys have started, and I like I like learning about the humans behind the AI. I also just like, I don't know, I like philosophical questions even if I don't have great answers. I think people should talk about stuff that's not obvious, that may be controversial sometimes even. Just discussion is good. I know this is being more, I guess, one-sided, but in general, hearing how people think, I think is good.
Yeah, and I think one feedback we've gotten from the videos that we put out is it's surprising even to people who knew some of the guests that they felt they learned something. They maybe were collaborators, but they had never seen this side of the person. And so it's sort of illustrative even to them. And to everybody else, it sort of just reassures and reconfirms the fact that we're all just human. Like, we're all just living our day-to-day lives. We have, existing responsibilities. We have things outside of our work that we are responsible for and spend our time on, and that occupy our minds, and that is in a way reassuring.
Yeah.
Do you think there were enough philosophical questions in this list?
Yeah, maybe. I would love to. Yeah. So yes, there were.
Do you have suggestions for change?
Well, no, I was gonna. Yeah, I'm just reminiscing on the times that my lab mates and I would at conferences have these deep controversial discussions till 4 a.m. Yeah, I wish more people did that, I suppose. So, but yes, I think I'm just not in shape for more philosophical questions. I'm sure you could ask more philosophical questions. I just feel like I'm also not in shape for more.
Not in shape for philosophical questions. That's an interesting way of phrasing it. It's almost like exercise. You kind of have to exercise that muscle, otherwise it atrophies.
I think so.
Yeah. Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Yeah, good question. So as you know, I didn't reply for a while because I was actually hemming and hawing about whether I wanted to do this, mulling it over, if you will. But I decided that because I knew that this was more of the way I looked at it was this is more of a kind of a process question, right? So I know you had people, I know you talked to, or I guess Debbie talked to Joelle and Hugo was on, and both of these are more, let's say, A-type personalities, driven, organized people, right? And I was like, I don't know if I really fit into that group. I don't know. And then it occurred to me that that's exactly why I probably should do this, is just to show people that you can kind of do okay in this field with, having different, say, habits and just, yeah. So that's why I decided to do it, because I thought, to the extent it's helpful to anybody, there we go.
So A, I'm super glad you agreed, and B, remember that I am not Devi. I don't fit into that cluster either.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I relate much more to you than to Hugo.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's cool. Yeah, I learned something. I didn't actually know that much. Yeah, that's cool.
Why'd you agree to do this interview with me?
Oh, well, I'll give somewhat of an answer, which is that I think the generations of professors above me, I found to be a little difficult to know that there was a kind of culture of like being a little more closed off. And I like that there's become something in social media and just the general milieu of kind of modern academia that people try to be a little bit more open and direct and social. And so while this was an extremely scary experience, I'm really trying to play into this idea that like, hey, I'm actually, that's fine. I think it's way better that people know that we're all kind of goofy and a little bit figuring it out as we go. And so it's better than the opposite of feeling like we're projecting an image of perfection or kind of solidness.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, and in some sense, thank you for getting that. It's so many of us live in this world where there are personas online, and as you said, we go about our daily lives just sort of struggling with small things every day and deriving joy in the coffee that we drink in the morning, and like I think there's value in just exposing that to people so you can just feel a bit more connected in that way. So
for sure. Why
did you agree to do this interview with me? I know that you've described you struggle with anxiety. You're probably going to think about your answers for the next couple of days. This couldn't have been easy.
So I'll do a story. When I was in graduate school, I had similar problems. And in fact, I've had sort of anxiety problems my whole life. And there was a talent show at Indiana University. And I'm a bad singer, like not plug your ears and run away, but not good. But I decided to sing a song at the talent show for no good reason, other than the fact that it scared the hell out of me and would be super embarrassing. And, you gave me this invitation, and I didn't reply for a while, and then I pinged you and said, like, listen, I will reply. I will say yes to this because I know that's what I'll do, but I have to fight with myself for like a little while longer to get there. Because I try to force myself into these situations that I know I'm uncomfortable with, because it seems like that's the path that eventually fixes it, that eventually makes it easier to do these things. I haven't reached that yet, but I did this, and I teach class, and I sang a terrible version of Rufus Wainwright's Hallelujah in front of 30 computer science students. So we move forward a little bit more every time that I try to push.
That's a wonderful note. That's thank you for doing that. Thank you for finding the internal courage and the strength to work through your struggles and being here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And I suspect lots of people have similar situations. We're not all built for the limelight. But yeah.
Why did you decide to do this interview with me?
Well, there's two reasons, right? Three. So one is I love talking. Two is that ego is there, right? And I quite like talking. I'm just gonna be frank about it, right? I don't mind talking. It's okay to talk a bit about myself. I kind of enjoy that. And obviously I really like your work, Crew. So it's like, that it just felt like it would be a fun conversation. And then I guess the final reason is that, I kind of thought if I can talk a little bit about the stuff that worries me and the stuff that I'm not, like my concerns and maybe stuff that I found difficult, then that actually could be pretty useful for, say, students or other people in this strange world of research that we inhabit. It could be useful. It's not like I'm the world's greatest researcher, so it would have more impact if the world's greatest researcher came on here and told you all your worries, but at least I did it. And hopefully that's sort of like actually gives people more belief in themselves and more confidence and not less. That's the third reason.
Thank you for doing that. Going back to our previous discussion, the world's greatest researcher probably does not exist because we're comparing high dimensional vectors to high dimensional vectors. And
that's true. You're absolutely right. I need you to remind me, like once a week, I'll play back this little part and Drew's wisdom on high dimensional vectors and imposter syndrome.
My final question: why did you agree to do this interview with me?
I don't know. It's been a long time since we last spoke. I thought, okay, this would be a good excuse to chat with Dhruv. I don't know how, has his hair turned gray? The last time I sort of saw him was in a conference. Now conferences are off. Who knows what Dhruv looks like? So I thought good excuse to actually get back in touch with Dhruv. That was one of the primary reasons, Dhruv.
Well, I'm glad. This is what I look like. Some of my hair is grayer, but not predominantly so. That is not.
You were doing well. You're doing well. You're going to the gym. I can see it.
I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, I hope basically you are sort of you're well, and both you and Devi are sort of well, and I know you are a disciplined person, so I don't need to sort of tell you or show you any sort of discipline. It's great.
The fascinating part about giving people advice and leading through actions as opposed to words is that your actions actually have a farther reach than your words do. Words, you have to actually have a communication and a conversation with someone, but actions people can see at a distance. And so, I follow your progression and career along. So I think you're setting an example for me from afar.
Okay. Yeah. Don't take too much from my example. Otherwise, you will find yourself basically changing diapers at 4 o'clock in the night. So.
Yeah, perhaps not that part. Yeah. Why did you agree to do this interview with me?
Well, you asked really nicely, And then I didn't reply to your email for months. I felt guilty. And so I ended up doing it. I mean, that's kind of the summary of it. Next question.
Yeah, and that's generally how I tend to approach things. Ask nicely and then persist.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is narcissistic to imagine that me doing this has a positive impact in the world, going back to the point of life, or is meaningful to anybody. So I don't think for this particular one, I appreciate the work you do, but I'm just saying, like, I don't view it as that, yet qualifies as something where I think has had the impact I was hoping for. But I hope it does. I hope it's meaningful to people. Fun conversation for me, and I like chatting with you. So all in all, it's a win-win, and I don't have to approve any expense reports in the process. So it's a great hour.
Yeah, that's kind of been my motivation as well. It's twofold: one, to reconnect with people who, just a structured conversation, getting a glimpse into their life, and the other is just giving others a glimpse into the lives of these people who, at least I think, have interesting perspectives and have led, thoughtful lives. And what it does is it lets people see that we're all struggling with our daily struggles. We're all sort of trying to find meaning in a meaningless universe. And
it's not meaningless. There's a point. We got to the truth of that.
We got to our truth, our individual truth.
No, well, as I tell students who are struggling with deciding things, especially what jobs to take, the choices I've made in my life are the right choices for everyone. And thus, you must do exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I probably have told you that at some point, that same line.
And my motivation was to expose that to others so that they could also benefit from
that incredible insight, right?
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate the time. It's kind of fun talking to you about this, and I'm glad you're doing this, and I hope it does have a positive value to people's lives, which is great.
Exactly. Why'd you agree to do this interview with me?
Yeah, I only last night I realized that what I said yes to. I only said yes because I thought this was like just maybe some random research interview, and since you asked, and I like you, and I was sorry that I missed your email. I mean, it was sitting in the gosh, spam box. Like I never really checked that, so I was just like automatically saying yes, not knowing what I was saying yes to. But yeah, this is fun. You guys are creative to come up with this idea.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Like this is Devi's idea of a social gathering. I mean, this is my idea as well, but it's coming much more strongly from her, where she just hates small talk. She hates it with a passion, that she likes this sort of an organized setup where there are structured questions, and I appreciate the structure as well.
Me too. Actually, yeah, to be honest, I don't understand this small talk culture in this country. We have to struggle through that. Especially, I cannot tolerate when people talk about weather. Really? Just tell me about something more substantial.
Yeah, I like how you got a little conspiratorial there. That you know, when I compare this, for example, to India, where I grew up, it also has a small talk culture. The thing that I noticed, or at least I experienced differently about the US, is there's a script. We're all just sort of sticking to a script. I say my part, you say your part, and I find I don't quite have that script for like Indian small talk. I have that script memorized for most of the US small talk. I don't like it at either place, but at least I can navigate it much more successfully in the US because I've memorized the scripts.
Can you share that script with me? Because I need to improve on that. I'm actually insecure about small talks, so.
I mean, I'm sure you've experienced this back when we were still attending conferences. The first conversation when you go to a conference with any new person you meet. When did you arrive? Did you see anything interesting so far? Where are you staying? Like, are you staying close by, or did you see anything? Like, are you going to be extending your trip and staying around and watching other things?
Gotcha. Next time I keep that in mind. I'm usually relying on the other person to do the job, and I'm just answering questions.
Yeah.